I interviewed Crip Mac that same day. And Crip Mac walked in and told me, he was like, yeah, I just interviewed a gay Crip. But he didn't tell me that it was on No Jumper or with Brick Baby, or that it was like a big deal type of thing, you know? And so I was surprised as hell, you know? We talked about it a little bit when I interviewed him.
My surprise in regards to C-Mac only comes for the fact that we have a term that we've never heard that is a household name in our culture now. Starts with an S, it ends with actual. The fact that he was so successful in coining that phrase, it was just an extreme shock to not only see him enjoy a peaceful environment with a person from that affiliation, but then one of the classification that he created. You feel me? That was just the biggest shock in the world. And I tried to make sure I was honest enough to express my shock without passing judgment on the homie, because I see the big picture. I see why, where, and when he did it. And it's something that I would have advised him to be able and willing to do long before he was apparently willing to do. I had wished he would have been way more early to the lack of dissing and coexisting. That's late to me. If you look at my first interview with him, you can go see it on my platform, Spider Loc Most Easty on YouTube. I was pressing growth and the lack of the dissing. I was trying to show him way back then that the tattoo had said enough once it was inked in. He does not have to keep adding on to those expressions. So the fact that he has shown some maturity since his most recent release and trying to express himself minus a lot of that, I applaud that. But I was something I was hoping he found out a long time ago.
Yeah, Crip Mac has definitely grown. That's for sure. You can't take that from him.
And when somebody jumps off the porch, love you, Lo, but when somebody jumps off the porch, technically what we consider late, you can expect to see some later processes of the natural process too. Validation and all that. Because it's been concerned how people view him based on the fact that he's had a somewhat of a microwave experience in becoming a young banger to an OG that's trying to kick back. It's kind of hard to do on the camera in front of everybody when your success is moving a lot faster than your regular experience, because your regular experience kind of dictates you go through certain steps at a slower pace and they naturally accumulate it. But when you're becoming a star, you're becoming famous at the same time, you have to learn how to balance the both. And when you see Mac, you get caught up with trying to be like, I'm still in the middle of trying to do this, but I got this going on. And he need the right people in his ear, let him know it's okay to let this go. It's nothing. You already seen what that'll get you. County jail, penitentiary, adversity. That's it. Being the other side of you, the Trevor side, sky the limit, my love. Night bud. But you gotta mix it. Don't let the bullshit go. You gotta stick to the bullshit, but you have to be as calculated as I know you are smart enough to be. They think you a fool. I know you a fool and not a dummy. We all fools, the real ones, but we ain't dummies.
For sure, for sure.
Fight show. Fight show, fight show.
In some of our past interviews, we touched on Quando Rondo dropping his flag.
Did we?
And recently, not too long ago, he got arrested on a RICO. And a lot of people believed that he dropped his flag to avoid the RICO. But he ended up getting arrested for it anyway. You know,
I did that because I have long stood out on the internet as being Spider Loc, infamous for being the most crippin' whatever, banged out, ignorant, whatever. I've been made it clear and made it my business to express that I am a very, 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 very former long ago gang banger. I've tried to make it extremely clear to everyone that may fall under the sound of my voice that any active gang participation that I've ever experienced has been far, far, far back in my past. And my main motivation was not to make that fact apparent to the masses, but it was to make it apparent to the authorities that I knew isn't cut, paying attention to everything that goes on this internet way before it became apparent or obvious. When I was signed to G Unit at a time, and as a creative, I was pushing G Unit Crip. I can recall way back then, before we heard of a rap label getting a RICO, I remember 50 Cent telling me, like, hey, yo, B, in referring to the authorities, they believe you with that G Unit Crip shit, B. The hip hop police was going through New York, barbershops, mixtape shops, snatching all of my DVDs off the shelf and things of that nature way back then. So as I saw what Takuchi was able to bring about with the feds, with the 9 trays, and I see what Young Thug went through and the numerous RICOs, then free the homie Doc Thone from 6ix9ine. I see what one of my G homies from my hood went through since then. You know, sometimes you think you missed out on something and you wish you was participating in it. And then in the long run, you see what the creator was saving you from. I perhaps was on my way headed to be the first hip hop RICO situation versus the one who didn't get it. So yeah, I'm very familiar with how they throwing them RICOs around, and it kind of like explains the way I present myself to a large degree, even though they weren't even doing it back then. I was just wise enough to see the climate of things and know that it would be far better not to be associated with any current type of gang activity if you're going to be an individual such as myself that has been historically affiliated with one of the most notorious gangs in Los Angeles. And I've never been a follower in my life. I've been a leader in every environment that I found myself in. So as a public figure and a leader in such with such affiliations, I always deemed it wise to separate myself from my adolescence experience as a adult. I don't understand why others don't see why it makes the most sense. I guess that's what separates real ones from clout chasers.
Well, you're also older though too.
And I hate the way you said that, but yes, I am. 47, blessed to see 48 on my next birthday, which will be in January if the creator's so willing.
Yeah, I've learned a little about the RICO, and I've learned that you don't even necessarily got to be from a gang to get indicted on a RICO.
Affiliated.
If you and a couple people start committing crimes together, you are now eligible for the RICO. Like, they've rigged the system.
And it's deeper than what you just said, because you don't even have to commence to committing crimes. With the conspiracy word, all you have to do to be able to prove is you were aware that certain crimes were potentially going to be committed prior to them being committed, and you can be effectively tied in to a conspiracy.
Man, they rigged it. It's rigged, man.
Definitely rigged. And for those in the YouTube verse, the comments, and who don't seem to quite understand the reality of certain people's lives, you can never motivate me to react to your satisfaction based on things of this nature that y'all don't even tend to consider that are on the table when it comes to being on these platforms or presenting yourself as a public figure after you've been a stumped down outlaw, convict, ex-con, enemy number one, gang member. Now you're trying to present yourself in another aspect. You guys don't even understand half the ramifications that exist. And I'm not here to teach you or to try to prove to you I'm other than what you assume. I have to just move accordingly to what benefits those that matter to me, my children, my family, my grandchildren, things of that nature, and let the chips fall where they may.
What's up? This is Cam Capone. We got more content like this coming soon, so hit that like button, subscribe, and stay locked in to Cam Capone News.